Okay, so Friday night, Romford Horror Festival. We've just had a short, followed by the feature. Can you just introduce yourselves and your role in what we've just seen, please?
I'm Joe, I'm writer-director of Sour Milk.
I'm Stephen M. Smith, the writer and director of Remember Me 2.
I'm Louisa, I played Nurse Ratchet and helped Steve on set.
And I'm Tony Vidal, and I played the Doctor.
Let's start with you, Joe. So you've had a number of films in the festival before and in Romford Film Festival. I want you to take this the right way. So it's been, this is probably the third or fourth short, I think. Third, yeah. I think this one is longer, and I think maybe you can tell me if you had more money and that kind of stuff. But I think this is a real step up for you. I think this one is really, really, really great. How did you go about creating this film? Was there anything you kind of...
So, in terms of money,
Yeah.
it is a bigger budget than every film I've ever made put together.
Okay.
And it's still only a couple of grand.
Yeah.
Usually I'm making movies in like one day on a budget of 50 quid.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually had a full crew as well for it,
Okay.
which was very nice. It was the first time that I could, between setups, I would have nothing to do. I wouldn't be doing lighting myself. I wouldn't be doing production design myself. I was just directing on set, which was quite nice. But yeah, we started making it at uni, so it was for my masters originally, and then we did some more stuff afterwards as well.
Okay. So you felt the difference yourself? You weren't doing so many jobs, you can concentrate on directing?
It was the most relaxed shoot I've ever been on in my entire life.
Okay.
Because I was just literally, I would the setup would be done, and all I would do was work with the actors.
Right.
That was it. I could trust everyone else. So we'd finish shooting one setup, I'd block through with the actors, and then I'd have half an hour where I would just literally sit around twiddling my thumbs rather than twiddling with the lights.
Yeah. Yeah, bet that felt strange.
It was very strange.
Yeah,
It was nice.
yeah, great. I'm glad to hear that. Stephen, how did this film? Because you make lots of films. You are prolific. You're
Yeah.
never not working by the looks of it.
I've literally just come back from shooting in Cornwall for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That was a much bigger budget than this. I mean, this only cost £10,000 to make the whole film.
Yeah.
So, what I do is I make films to spec. So, I've kind of built up a reputation for being able to deliver movies on time or on a genre, a very limited budget. I mean, it's still very, very micro budget.
Yeah.
So I tend to get deals where people will come to me and say, "Can you do this?" So we did a Remember Me 1 that I produced and co-wrote, and the distributor said, "Can you do a Remember Me 2?" And obviously I just say yes to everything because that's what I do. So it came about with obviously talking to Louisa and then talking to people I know and just saying, can we shoot this? How can we? And we design it in a way where you can practically do it on a shoestring budget. As you can see, it was one location and very limited crew, but everybody's talented and knows what they're doing, and it's a calm, relaxing environment, very similar to what Joe was saying, hopefully, when he comes to doing his first feature, which you will do, I'm sure, because you're a talented actor. Talented. Well, one day you will, I'm sure. And I think that, the whole thing that I do is, as a filmmaker, is try to make sure that everybody has fun when they're making the movies, and that we end up with something that, like you say, in the movie I've just done, I think there's bits of comedy that are deliberately put in there, and it's just to have a bit of fun, really.
Yeah. So you usually work very often with your two colleagues down the end there. How did you get those on board? What brought them to the project?
Well, they beat me up and said, "Can I be in your movie?" And I said, "Well, how much you can give me?" No, I literally, obviously, you turn to people who you can trust, who are good at what they do, and you kind of say, "Well, this is because it's a business. What I do is a business." So it's that thin line between art and business, and you're kind of going, "Well, I need artistic people. I need people who can do what they say they can do." and you're going to deliver. And I think Louisa's got a proven track record. Tony's now got a proven track record. Now, I'll tell you a story. Tony came, I made a film called Essex, one of the Essex Boys films, and it actually was screened at the cinema about 8 years ago, and Tony came along. And then since then, Tony's probably done as many movies as I've done. So, you know, it's like you tend to know when you meet people who you're going to want to work with, and then you want to form partnerships with. So these guys are brilliant. You know, they take the pressure off of me.
Yeah, to our cast then, what Louisa, you first, what drew you to the nurse character?
Well, I think Steve said she's a little bit different. She's not your normal nurse. And I thought that sounds really fun. Some of her dialogue I thought could be, you can either play it really straight or you can be a massive weirdo sometimes, and I like doing that. So,
You, Tony?
Blimey. I was a bit lastminute.com. I wasn't actually casted as the role of the Doctor. Someone else was. And I think it was 2 days before they started shooting. They couldn't find someone, so they run me. I've got a very good memory with script. I'm pretty much memorised up to 152 pages quite quickly.
Yeah.
So
Now you know why I rung you.
So Steve phoned me and said to me, look, this is a bit unorthodox, but we've got something we need to shoot, and we've only got a couple of days prep. Do you think you can handle it? And as always, I like working with Steve because he gives me pretty much free rein. I'm a very much into character development. I've always have been. It's how I work. And he just said to me, look, can you read it? What can you bring to it? What can you do with it? It was tricky because it was quick. And like working with Louise and the others, I mean, they're easy to get on with, they're easy to work with, and I was developing day by day with it, to be honest with you. I had an idea of the Dot, so I knew roughly how I wanted to play him. It was a completely different thing for me, as you can see, I'm an Essex lad, so it was a different part to play, but it was really good, and I think it was more of the challenge for me when he said to me, you've got no time, this is the script, and it's a full script, and you need to start it in 2 days. I mean, yeah, I'll do it, let's have a go.
That's micro budget we're making for you summed up there, really. You have to be very versatile. You have to be very on your feet. You never know what's going to happen. People will drop out, and you have to just stay calm, and you'll find someone. That basically is how it works with crew and cast and locations.
How much preparation do you do for one of your feature films? So, like, because you always seem to be shooting something or preparing something. So, where do you actually find that time to do the pre-work?
Well, I do find the time because this is a passion.
Yeah.
You have to, and you're up until 3 in the morning sometimes. Well, a lot of the time. I think the thing is, it really depends on budget. It really depends on what sort of budget you get, and if you've got more time. I've just done a feature film. We had 9 months of development on it, and it's a much bigger budget. But my next film we're shooting in 6 weeks' time. So we more or less are in the early stages of getting everything together for it. But normally it's around 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
But I already know what I'm doing in November, and I already know what I'm doing probably next year.
Yeah. So 6 to 8 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
How long? I'll ask you, both of you guys. How long to shoot for each one of your films? How long?
Well, it's normally the film I've just done, which is bigger budget, at 2 weeks. But this particular film was 6 days.
Right.
So normally we're sort of 7-8 days, is it 9 days, something like that. It really depends on the budget.
And you, Drew?
So usually, my shoots are like a day or 2 days. This one was actually 6 days, I believe, 5 or 6 days. 5 or 6 days with a couple of months prep.
Okay. So budgets, don't have to tell me how much the budget is, by the way. But how do you rate? You said you had more money this time. How did you go about raising that? Any different to usual, or just saved up?
We got a little bit of money from the university,
Okay. Yeah.
but not much. And then we also did a crowdfunder as well.
Okay.
But I have no idea actually how much it costs. That would be my producers.
Would you recommend
I stay out of
doing
that.
crowdfunding?
I hate crowdfunding, but
Needs must.
it needs must, yeah.
Stephen?
I think it's a combination, really. Basically, I'll sometimes have a project that I really want to make, and a distributor would finance it, and I'm not really 100% happy with what they're giving me.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to then find other ways to top it up, Hence, you had the video messages, which they're all people I know, and they will do a crowdfunder at the end. We put them in. So I don't think crowdfunders are bad if you're doing it and you've already, it's just to top things up. But this film cost 10 grand, so it's that is what it is for 10 grand. So I've done a lot bigger films, and I've done even smaller budgets. So I have started with as little as 50 quid or zero, and I always say to filmmakers, if you want to make a movie, you've got to try and think of an idea that's going to cost you nothing. That is, one location with only 2 or 3 actors, exactly what Joe's more or less done. And then you work from there, and then you build up a reputation and show what you can do, and then you could be making films as a business like I do.
I will say, with the Sour Milk crowdfund, we did the crowdfund after we'd shot it,
Okay.
as a top-up, basically.
Yep.
Plus, also, it helped with the crowdfund, I think, because it meant we had more material to share anyway, and you could see that it was going to get finished.
Yeah,
which I
so
think
did you
helps.
spend that money on post stuff?
I mean, it went on post and it went on covering other things. So, yeah.
What are your plans with the films from now on, for both of you?
Well, Sour Milk, because like I said, I did it for the Masters. It has a specific... my Masters, I specifically wanted to make a film that would screen at indie horror film festivals, but also screen at those highbrow festivals that look down on horror. So it was deliberately designed from how it looks to the story to the writing, so it could screen at both.
Okay.
So over the course of the year, I will find out if that's worked or not.
Got to try it, I guess.
Yeah.
Steve, what's the plan?
Well, this has got distribution with ITN, which are the same people who did Winnie the Pooh, well, more or less. So they will do whatever they can with it, and sometimes it goes to a lot more places than others. Sometimes they change the title. Hence, as you probably noticed, it had a different title on this version. They may even change the title again. That's just the way it works. But sometimes I make films and don't have a distributor. And you then go and show it and get your distributor after. We kind of reverse. Most of the business is done reverse.
Okay. Filmmakers always, they're self-critical people, I think, and they always see, what's wrong with a film when they watch it back. What's one thing, this is all each one of you, one thing that you saw in your film that you actually think, actually, that looks really great, or I'm really proud of that, or how I did that, how I overcome whatever challenge might have been behind that shot?
I think it's just time for us to walk away now. Over to you, Joe.
I mean, I didn't watch my movie, so...
Yeah,
my brother's car broke down, so I actually went to go and help him jump-start it, so I've actually missed all the movies.
we should say this was Joe's world premiere, and because of his brother, he missed it. So I mean, what a great!
It was very
brother
good.
you must
The
be.
moment
I
with
was
the
gonna say that.
the very
He
good.
definitely owes you.
He does. He owes me at least a burger, I think.
It was very good. There was a dragon and everything in it.
Oh, sweet. That
Did you put that in?
Someone put it in. I ain't watched it since.
Must
it
have
was
been
in it.
CGI'd at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I do like dragons.
But when you're watching it, you've seen it a lot of times before. I'm sure.
Yeah.
What part of it you think actually I really nailed that?
I quite like the lighting and the grade, which was a specific look that I wanted, especially when it went to the night stuff, we shot all the night with UV lighting, which was a specific look I wanted. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I have no idea what it actually looks like, 'cause I've only ever seen it on like smaller screens. So I don't know if it actually graded well or if it looks good, but hopefully it looks pretty decent. Because that was like one of the main things I wanted to change from my previous stuff to this one, was that I wanted to upgrade how well it actually looked on screen.
Yeah, I think you definitely achieved that.
Wicked.
Steve?
I mean, generally, I'm more happy with the result, as in looking at it and saying there's a lot more good stuff in it than there is bad stuff. And I think when you have real restrictions, I mean, I love the acting. The acting is good, and it was comical, with deliberately done that way. And some of the characters were comical, not the acting, sorry. But some of the setups, it was just thrown in there like that. And I think the thing is, that's what you've got to do when you've got no money. You've got to have a bit of fun with it.
Absolutely. Louisa?
I was impressed with the way you blurred out the Adidas logo on my trainers when I
Yeah.
forgot to change my shoes.
Yes, we did notice that. Well, I did. I had
I
a
noticed that. You've told us.
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we did have that, didn't we? I had it on my coat as well, so it wasn't just you.
Tony?
I don't know, what can I say? I mean, look, with any independent film and with budgets that you don't have, you know, it's really difficult to keep an audience because we have to pack things with dialogue. Everyone knows that. We haven't got money to flash out on this effects and special effects and blow up. And if we all had it, we'd have Hollywood movies. So ideally, the best way to do it is what Steve tends to find the knack for doing. You know, repeating or dragging. We have to fill stuff out a little bit and make it, but you've got to make it so the audience, look, let's be honest, you hit a point in most films where you think, is it going to go on any further? And then it changes scene, and all of a sudden you're lucky you've got out of it, but you do need to know when to change up and make that timing right. And that's the difficult part when it comes to editing. So,
Well, I'll
you
just say there, Tony, that sometimes it's out of our control because the distributor wants a certain run time, and
Yeah.
you may have only shot 65, 70 minutes, and then you end up like you have to make certain scenes last a little bit longer, which is horrible, but you run out of money. So that's just the way it is. I think you're right. I mean, this probably had about 5 or 6 minutes put back into it because from the original cut, because the distributor wanted it a certain runtime. And there's nothing I can do about that. And that's another thing to learn as a filmmaker, that when you get to that stage where you're being funded, that you may not have 100% control of the final product.
see, creatively, this is what I'm saying. This is what you have to learn to be able to do, and you have to sacrifice by doing.
It's a trade-off, isn't it?
Yeah, as an independent
Understandable,
filmmaker, and everyone that makes a film independently will understand, especially when you haven't, like I say, you haven't got the money to do what you really want to do, but you've got to make it the best of what you've got.
You'll never ever have final cut. Let's just say that.
I think it was. I think it was for the time we shot it over, for the price we had to shoot it, for how it all come together. You know,
It rained every day.
respectfully, what can you say? You've got a beginning, a middle, and end. You've got a story that you can follow. You're pretty much 95% there already.
coherent
So
story,
you
that's
know,
what
as long as the
matters.
audience managed to follow it and understand what we were trying to get at, it's fine. And like I say, a lot of it comes in the dialogue, the explanation. Sometimes you have to taunt an audience into explaining this is what's happening now by dialogue, because we don't have visually a way of doing it. You know, so I think it worked.
Great stuff. Right, final question. This is an opportunity to sell yourself, if you like. What are you working on next? Do you want to start, Tony, down the far end there?
So Dream Hackers is in its last post-production now at the Post House. That began cans are being sold this year, so I have got something going out. That had Mark Williams and Marina Sirtis. I mean, it had some pretty good big names in that, and we had a very good budget on that. Our next one is Solitude Enigma, which we're going to be shooting in Cyprus, and we are actually in the process of talking to Guy Pearce at the moment. So we've got a very big, and if I pull him on board, I've already got a distribution deal in place for it, and I've got pre-sale, which is really rare nowadays on anything that you do. So I've been offered it by a company, quite a good company. So that's where I am at the moment.
Louisa? What are you working on now?
So coming up, I've got a cool project with Steve that I'll let him talk about because I don't know what I can say. And then personally, acting-wise, I just got back from South Africa doing a little role for this kind of like...
That's news to me.
Oh,
I didn't know you went to South Africa.
yeah.
You mean you went and didn't tell him? That's not
Oh,
right. What's going on?
It was very last minute.
You could have got some establishing shots for me while you were there.
Yeah, I should have done. So yeah, just a little active role there, and then kind of production and directing. Obviously, I've got Cinderella coming out in cinemas this year at some point. Ouija House. I've got like, I don't know, 8 movies coming out, but Cinderella, I guess, is the
Just
highlight.
the 8.
Yeah,
Take
just
it
the
over Netflix. Have you not noticed?
yeah, well, I've just completed an incredible bigger budget movie, which was just a fantastic experience in Cornwall, which was nice because it was nice to see, you know, to be able to get that step up. Yeah, I'm making probably another 6 movies this year, but at the moment we're prepping for 3. Hopefully with Louisa on board in a Scottish castle.
And I'll probably find out 2 hours
2
before
days
the film.
before, 2
I'm
hours
going to ring you when I'm up there. Yeah.
Tony,
I'm just trying to put together a finance for a feature film, which is a feature about, it's a sort of possession movie, a little bit different. Instead of a young girl being possessed, an old man doing the exorcism, I flipped it so it's an old man possessed, young girl doing an exorcism,
Love that.
and it's about dementia, really.
It's about,
Dementia.
okay. Well, the role reversal, I love that idea. And your first feature?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying for.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for submitting your films, everyone, and for coming to represent them. And congratulations on both your premieres. Joe,
Thank you.
your brother definitely owes you at least a pint, I would say.
Definitely.
Can I have a round of applause, please, for our filmmakers?